Continuing our discussion on performance monitoring and logging, it's appropriate to talk about Syslog. Now, the Syslog facility provides the system logging capability to Unix and Linux systems, and it does this through the syslog-d daemon. Basically, syslog-d, if an application is configured to use it, will take logs from various applications and deposit them in one central log. It can also be used by the system to put other logs into the system as well, and usually they're going to wind up in varlog, but they could possibly wind up in other places. Additionally, some utilities don't use Syslog. They have their own logging capability. Now, Syslog has been around for a long time, basically since Unix and Linux were very young, and basically they've been the logging facility of choice for system administrators. As a system administrator, you need to be able to at least read in the syslog messages and learn how to configure syslog-d. It's configured basically in /etc/syslog.conf. It's also started, because it's a daemon, a regular service, in the etc rc.d scripts. So you'll see it start up when the computer starts up. Let's go ahead and take a look at the syslog.conf file and show you how to work the syslog service. Okay, we're in our FreeBSD 8 box, and let's take a look at where we're at. We're in /etc. Let's go ahead and look at the syslog.conf file, and basically this is where syslog-d is configured. And there are several things it's going to do for us. It's going to set which logs are going to be handled by syslog and to what logging level. Notice that you have a convention there, for example, mail.info. Info is a particular logging level, and it will take logging information from the mail program, sendmail. It will also take information from the security log and FTP and so forth and put this all into a particular log format in the var log. And you can see over there where some of these logs are deposited. var log security, for example, var log mail log. So it doesn't always put them in the messages log, although it could if we wanted it to. So we will configure the different applications and utilities that use syslog here. And there's a lot of different configuration options that we can use as well. But basically, syslog, you really wouldn't have to mess with the syslog.conf file if you don't want to. Most of the typical system utilities will use syslog by default. Now, another thing we'd like to look at is syslog as it's done in Linux, because there's actually a newer version of syslog called syslog-ng that OpenSUSE, Red Hat, and a few other ones use. So let's take a look at that. Okay, we're in OpenSUSE 11, and what we're going to look at is the GUI way to look at system logs and so forth. And actually, Linux, a lot of Linux distributions, including OpenSUSE, use a new version of syslog-d called Syslog Next Generation, or syslog-ng. And it has a lot more capabilities than syslog does, although it can still use syslog-d if we wanted it to. And the system logs and startup logs and so forth that are generated by syslog-d-ng aren't too much different looking than the normal logs. Matter of fact, we can take a look at one right now and see that we're getting the same as what we saw before on the BSD box, varlog messages, and we're getting them in a nice pretty format in a GUI, so we can actually take a look at them. So we're getting a lot of the same information, but there are a few different capabilities with syslog-ng that make it a little bit better of a choice if you're running a modern Linux or Unix system. And BSD can run syslog-ng as well. So basically, we've looked at syslog, we've looked at how to look at the messages in the GUI. In an earlier session, we saw how to look at varlog messages at the command line. We also looked at its startup file, its configuration file, syslog.conf. And so now you know a little bit about syslog and know how important it is in monitoring your system performance and checking it to make sure that the system is running the way it's supposed to be running.